The Ooni Halo Pro spiral dough mixer is here, and these are my first impressions. So hands up, I've never used a spiral dough mixer before, so I'm coming into this pretty fresh, but hopefully my opinions and thoughts can give you an insight of what it's like to be using a spiral mixer for the first time, but more specifically the Ooni Halo Pro. I've never used a spiral dough mixer before because I think I've always thought when it comes to dough, I've wanted to be hands-on. I've wanted to feel the dough. I chop and change my flour quite a bit, so I found it's a really good way to kind of understand the flour. And I think the first time I thought, oh, should I be using one, was I was in the UK's Best Home Pizza Chef competition. I was in the final, and 4 of the people that I was competing against all brought massive spiral dough mixers. So straight away I just thought, these guys are incredible pizza chefs. Like, why are they using a spiral dough mixer and I'm not? And I'm there like kneading it by hand. So I thought straight away, should I be using one? And then I've often looked at loads of bakeries online and follow a lot on social media and stuff. And I see they're using these massive industrial spiral dough mixers as well. So I kind of thought, well, they're using it. And I thought, well, they're doing it because they're making massive batches of dough. But obviously they're getting a certain quality and consistency every time. So should I be using one? I looked at getting one, looked at prices. They were super expensive. So I was like, no, and they're massive as well. So it's like, I can't fit them in the kitchen, can't afford it. And then Ooni have come and released the Ooni Halo Pro spiral dough mixer. And honestly, that's probably, I think, lowered the entry level for people like me, home chefs, to get one. So first up, this mixer looks fantastic. The thing that put me off about the other mixers was how big it was, how heavy it was, and just kind of how industrial it looked. The Halo Pro looks fantastic on my kitchen worktop. It fits really nicely, and honestly, it's not huge. Like, when I first saw it released, I thought that's gonna be a really, really big mixer on my kitchen side. I have a very small kitchen at home, and I thought this isn't gonna go down well if I'll put it in the kitchen. It fits really well and it looks fantastic. The build quality of this thing, I mean, Ooni are very, very good at making the products that they make, but I was really impressed with the build quality of this. It's really easy to use straight out of the box, but the build quality, you could just see Ooni have put a lot of time and thought into not only the design of it, of how it looks, but just the way they've built this. So it's built like a really, really, really well-built machine, and I was super impressed with the build quality. So straight away, pizza dough. I've actually had quite a bit of time of making dough with the Halo Pro. I've been making dough with it for about 2 months now. And I was sent one by Ooni because I was developing a few recipes for them. And I've made pizza dough, sourdough, high hydration pizza dough, loads of different things. Like, I've done cakes in there, but my main focus has been the dough hook and the breaker bar to try and make some really good pizza dough. So I got my standard dough recipe that I always make. It's a sourdough pizza dough. It's 65% hydration. And I kind of looked at that and thought, how can I really push this mixer and test this mixer? So I thought, I'm not going to do an auto lease, which I usually do. I usually do a minimum of 3-hour auto lease. I'm going to put the flour and water straight in there. I'm going to just really let the mix do the work and really test it. I cut out a few processes because usually my sourdough process is really, really long and lengthy, which helps build strength in the dough. I just thought, you know what, I'm going to let the Halo Pro do its work and see if it works. So I did 65% hydration. I added the levain, so it went a little bit higher than that. And I mixed it for 10 minutes, and then I gave it 15 minutes to rest, gave it another 10-minute mix with the salt. And honestly, the dough was fantastic. I could see how strong it was, and just getting it out for the first time, just feeling it on the worktop, it felt really different. It felt a lot tighter. It felt a lot more compact, almost like I'm used to it feeling towards the end of my bulk fermentation and my turning process to build that strength. It felt like that almost straight out of the Halo Pro. So I was really, really impressed with the consistency of the dough. It felt very smooth, just really strong, really. And I let it cold ferment in my fridge, and I cooked it up. And honestly, the pizzas it created were just fantastic, really, really good. It was my go-to flour, it's my usual flour, and I was super impressed from the first mix that I did. So the reason you want a spiral mixer when making either bread or pizza dough is the spiral mixer with the breaker bar and the dough hook, it mimics the hand just mixing it, and also it prevents the dough from getting really, really warm when mixing. I was really impressed by this. It kneaded it really, really well, and you could see how quickly it pushed the dough to get it almost making that pumpkin shape when it's kneading the dough. So that looked good, and that was a great sign from the research that I did that it was performing really, really well, mixing the dough really well. So Ooni have said that this mixer revolutionizes mixing, and it brings professional standard quality of mixing dough into the home. And I completely agree with that. You can see how much time and effort they've put into this, but the dough that it was creating just was fantastic. I really pushed this dough mixer through its paces. I did my standard 65% pizza dough recipe. I upped it to 75%. I made sourdough loaves in it. Did a high hydration pizza dough. I've done a 90% hydration focaccia. It just performed really, really well. It was fantastic at kneading it. It cleans really well. My sourdough process is, as I've said, a really long one, but also a really messy one. My worktop gets really messy. I take up virtually the whole kitchen. I've got a really small kitchen, and it's just kind of a bit of a hassle, a bit of a pain. And I'm there trying to like manage all the times to make sure it's perfect. It's not ideal. This mixer, it sped things up. It took my auto-lease process out completely. One of the doughs that I made, my sourdough one, the 75% hydration one, I just thought, you know what? I'm not even going to do an auto-lease. Usually I do, and I'm timing that with work, and I'm mixing it in the morning and trying to like time like when do I need to kind of come back and start the mix and stuff like that. I didn't do that with this one. First sourdough I made, I was just like, right, no auto-lease, give it a good mix. And you can just see already the gluten development this mixer was doing was fantastic. And the dough it made, the sourdough loaf, the crunchy loaf that I made, was just unbelievable. It was, if not better than what I usually make. It made a really good crust, the crunch, but the crumb was just super light and springy. And I was really, really impressed with the loaf that this mixer produced. So straight out of the box, the Halo Pro is pretty much good to go. You get it in, get the bowl in, you choose your attachment, and the digital interface is just fantastic. It looks great. For me, the ability to set the time on the mixer is fantastic, because if I'm doing like a 10-minute knead and then I want the 15-minute break, I can just set it to 10 minutes, go and do something else, and it'll stop on its own. So it's really, really good. And also what I love is the bowl rotates as it's mixing. So it just gives it almost that extra mix and just really helps develop the gluten structure. The thing that I love is just the interface, but also just the dial that I can use. It's just that precision control it gives me. It shows me in the light how quickly it's going as well. So it's just really, really detailed, really well thought about. And it just gives me that control as a home baker to just make myself better dough, really, which is kind of what I'm always looking for, how I can make my dough better. I know by spending time with this mixer that already I'm thinking there's certain things that I always wanted to do with my dough that I'd never really be able to do by hand because it would just lengthen the process even more, or I was constantly balancing stuff. This mixer will allow me to do much, much more. I will be pushing my dough hydration with my Neapolitan dough, and it allows me to do that. I can use different flours as well because it develops the gluten so well. I've always used a really high protein flour, but actually sometimes I like to use a flour that doesn't have as much protein in it, just because of flavor. I can use more like wholemeal flour, which I think will really transform my pizza making, and that is all because of the Halo Pro. So to Ooni, thank you for that. This mixer has saved me a lot of time, a lot of mess and cleanup. So yeah, I'm super impressed with it. And also how easy this mixer is to clean. So all of the attachments, bar the whisk with the gearbox, they're dishwasher friendly. So you can put the bowl in there, you can put the dough hook, the breaker bar. That's really impressive. I've only cleaned it by hand just because the dough comes off the breaker bar and the hook really, really easily. But again, it's just really well thought about, and it makes it fit into a home kitchen and a busy life of a home kitchen as well. So it's, yeah, really well thought about. Who is this product for? Now, I never thought about a spiral mixer in the sense of it was just so expensive, and I wouldn't have been able to do it, but also it was just so big and bulky. This one is super stylish. The price point is really affordable and a lot cheaper compared to all the other spiral mixers, and the quality it produces is just fantastic. So for me, if you're looking to level up your pizza game, this is a game changer. If you're always thinking, how can I push to the next level? If you want to push into sourdough, if you want to push into higher hydration, this is it. Like I said, at that pizza comp, so many people were using spiral mixers, and I thought, why? There's a reason why. You can get bakery level results in your home. And I was just so impressed with everything I made from it. It didn't feel like a steep learning curve. I adapted my recipe a little bit, to change the dough a little bit, but if anything, I was adapting it to make it better. So making stuff like this in the home is fantastic. And already I've just got so many ideas of what I want to make. And every time I've tried to push this mixer, it's just proven how good it is. The volume it takes is really impressive, actually. To make pizza dough, if you're doing a 250 gram dough ball, you can do up to 20 dough balls in here. It takes up to 5 kgs of dough. The minimum is 1 kg, but that's perfect. That's 4 dough balls. And when I'm making dough, I usually make 6 to 8 at a time, and the dough mixer just handles that really, really well. This dough mixer overall is a game changer. It is fantastic. It's so easy to use, and the dough it produces is second to none. Like, I was impressed. The dough that I've made for years and years and years and years. I've been making dough bread for 15 years, pizza for about 8 years. It's transformed it. The recipes that I've been putting in there that are my go-to dough recipes are just coming out more consistent, really, really good, and they just taste better. The texture's better. So for me, if you're thinking of getting a spiral dough mixer, this is the one to get. It's just the perfect size, really good price point, and it performs incredibly well. It's really fun to use. It's like really easy to use, but it's fun to use it and just make incredible dough. I'm super, super impressed and really, really happy with it. If you think this First Thoughts film has been helpful or you've enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments below. Any questions you've got, put them in there as well, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. I'd love to be making more content like this. I absolutely love cooking and making food stuff. So if you have any things that you want me to bake, any recipes, put them in the comments below and I'll try and make them next. So if you'd help me out by subscribing to the channel, that'd be fantastic. And I'll see you in the next one.